Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Guru Deva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadasi, 11th chapter, which is essentially Brahmanande Yoganandaha. So here we are going to discuss from the 11th to 15th chapters. Vidyaranya discusses about Ananda Prakaranam. In the earlier chapter, first 5 chapter talks about the Sat aspect of it, and from the 6th to 10th chapter talks about the Chit aspect. Now we are discussing the Ananda aspect, and until the 15th. Panchadasi means 15. And here we are analyzing the highest Ananda that one longs for is Brahmanandaha. And the next level of Ananda is due to Vijnana Ananda, due to gaining knowledge, objective knowledge. The first one is the nature of the total truth, absolute truth. Gaining that is Brahmananda. Because Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes a Brahman. Atmavit is same as Brahmavit because Aham Brahmasmi is the teaching of the Upanishads. So therefore, Atmavit is same as Brahmavit, and Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman because he understands that I am Brahman. That is the Brahma knowledge. And that is limitless, and therefore it is pure Ananda Swarupam. That means its nature itself is happiness. There is no suffering of any kind anywhere. And that's what is Brahmananda. And one who knows that I am Brahmananda, he himself will be gaining, or as though recognizing that I am absolute happiness. The happiness comes from me only, but now I recognize that I don't have to go after objects for my happiness because I am already happy. I am full by myself as I am. That knowledge is required in order to end the very purpose of life itself. Otherwise, I'll be going after seeking happiness outside where it is not there. Now, he is analyzing now the deep sleep state, and the experience in the deep sleep state is also Brahmananda. And there is an objection. It says, how do you say so? How do you say that in the deep sleep state one is enjoying the Brahmananda? The question itself is because in all other Anandas in the transactional world, there is a knower, known and knowing. If I am experiencing something, there is an experiencer, experience and experiencing. And therefore, if there is an Ananda in the deep sleep state, is this Ananda, there is no Triputi there. And Triputi means there is a knower, known, knowing, and enjoyer, enjoying, and enjoyed. So subject, object, and the relation between the two, and any knowledge of even Brahma knowledge has to occur through a means, a pramana. So how do you know that you are happy in the deep sleep state? That's the question that was posed. And the answer is that you don't need a pramana. You don't need a means to know that you are happy in the deep sleep state because it is swaprabhavam. It is shining itself, so you don't need a light to see the light. Light is self-shining, and in its light everything is seen. That's what we discussed in terms of tasya bhasa sarvavidam vibhati. You are the light of consciousness that illumines everything, and you don't need a light for seeing itself. So I am happy in the deep sleep state. It's not of the nature of Triputi, that means it's the nature of Dvaita, and therefore it is Swayam Prabha. And therefore Advaita alone is happiness. And whereas the objector says Advaita cannot be happy. Why? Because there is no Triputi. Triputi means there are duality. Knower is different from known, and knowing is different. Rama killed Ravana. Rama is different, Ravana is different, and killing is different. That's called Triputi. In the same way, I am experiencing happiness. I am experiencing happiness means I am an experiencer, and object of experience is happiness, and there is a connection through a means. I am happy because I got this. I am happy because my desire is fulfilled. I am happy because I got promotion. All these things because I am happy because is there. Because is a source of happiness. Coffee, because of coffee I am happy. Because of promotion I am happy. Because of good sleep I am happy. So is this happiness in the sleep, is this a Dvaita or Advaita? If it is Advaita, then where is the experiencer of that? So there is no, if it is an experiencer, then there is a duality is there. So how do you know you are very happy in the sleep state? So I know. How do you know? So question is, how the knowledge explains that I am slept very well. So a pramana has to operate for any knowledge in the transactional world. So what is the pramana? Pramana means of knowledge of gaining that I am happy. How do you know that? So I don't need it. If you say it is Swayam Prabhaha, it reveals itself, self-revealing happiness. Says it cannot be, because Advaita cannot have, because it requires a Triputi, and Triputi means duality. Duality means, the Triputi means triad, that means knower, no knowing. So that it means duality, and duality means it's only in the waking state. But you slept very well because you are conditioned to think as an Advaitin, because you accepted Advaita philosophy and you are repeating like a parrot that is so. I don't believe in Advaita, therefore I don't think so. So your belief is only a problem, not the question of whether Advaita is happiness or not. This is what an objector says. For that, the teacher is going to respond now. Sloka 25. Nabyupaimyahamadvaitam tadvacho nodya dushanam vachmiti chettada bruhi kimasi dvaitatah pura. So an objector says, you believe in Advaita, therefore you are saying that that's happiness. But I don't believe in it. So, aham Advaitam na abhyupaimi. I do not accept Advaita. This is an objector who says. So there is no bliss in the Advaita. Because the teacher says, that is only bliss. You don't have bliss, in fact, in the other one. It's the other way around. So in Advaita only you have bliss. You have a happiness is only comes from Advaita only, not by Dvaita. That is a statement. Is going to prove very interesting statement, because there is no happiness in the Dvaita at all. In fact, Scripture says, Udara mantanam kurute atatasya bhayam bhavati. Any speck of difference is going to cause a problem, and one is afraid of second, not afraid of self. So therefore, Advaita alone causes problems, and in Advaita there is no problem at all. One is happy, and that's because you believe in Advaita, because you have been conditioned to think that there is no, because only happiness is coming only from this Dvaita only. That's a statement of the teacher. Therefore, I don't believe in Advaita. Aham Advaitam na abhyupaimi. So I do not accept Advaita bliss. So anudya dushanam. If you say so, that is, you have no basis for your statement. This teacher says, I don't believe in Advaita. Says that if you are going to say that, then you have no basis for your statement. Say why? So because it says, if you say iti chet, tada dvaitataha pura kim asid bruhi. If you don't believe in Advaita, now let me ask you a question. Then what was there before the Dvaita came into picture? So if I don't believe in Advaita, all right. no problem. But let me ask you a question. How did the creation, what was the creation is Dvaita, because creation involves a differentiation of this, all Panchabhutas and so on and so forth. If this creation is the Dvaita is a creation, what was there before creation? So that was the question posed. So if you answer me, so Kim Asid Dvaitataha Pura. So what was there before the Advaita came into picture? Tada Advaitataha Pura Kim Asid Bruhi. Before the Dvaita came into picture, what was there before creation? So this is a question posed by the teacher to an objector. And the objector says, Kim Advaita Muta Dvaita Manyova Kotirantimaha. Kim Advaita Muta Dvaita Manyova Kotirantimaha Aprasiddho na dvitiyaha Aprasiddho na dvitiyaha Anutpattehe Sishyate Gimaha Anutpattehe Sishyate Grimaha. Together, Kim Advaita Muta Dvaita Manyova Kotirantimaha Aprasiddho na dvitiyaha Anutpattehe Sishyate Grimaha. So Kim Advaitam, what was there before Dvaita created? Now the teacher himself gives some choices. Now, what was there before Dvaita came? There are few choices. Number one, there was Advaita. So before Dvaita came, Advaita was there. That's one choice. So there was that Advaita Brahman, and from that plurality came, because the creation involves a multiplication of plurality. Before multiplication of plurality, there has to be singularity. That means there is only one, and one became a many. So before many came into picture, what was their question? There has to be either one, that is Advaita, means not two, or you can say there was another plurality that became into this plurality. There is a second choice. So Dvaita Manyova Kotirantimaha. So there before the creation, either the Advaita should be there, or there should be another creation from which this creation has come. This is the so Koti Antimaha. So there is no other choice now between these two. Aprasiddho na dvitiyaha. So if you say there was another duality, then that is not a right answer, because that can be rejected. Because why? Aprasiddha. Aprasiddha means it's not possible. Why? Because if there is a duality, then ask what was there before that duality came into picture. There is another duality, say, and what was there before another duality came into picture. So it becomes anavastha dosha, or infinite regress. So you cannot say that there was what was there before creation. You cannot say there was either Advaita or Dvaita. You cannot say Dvaita was there before creation. So that is not possible. So Anutpattehi Sishyate Grimaha. So Agrimaha Sishyate. What is there? Anutpattehi. So the duality cannot be there before creation. Only what is there possible is only Advaita can only be there before the Dvaita came into picture. So therefore, if there is an Advaita, then he goes into second argument. Advaita Siddhiruktaiva Advaiva Siddhiruktaiva Nanabhutveti Chetivat Nanabhutcheti Chetivad Nirdrushtantam Sadrushtantam Va Nirdrushtantam Sadrushtantam Va Kotyantara Matrano Kotyantara Matrano. Together, Advaita Siddhiryuktaiva Nanabhutcheti Chetvada Nirdrushtantam Sadrushtantam Va Kotyantara Matrano. So Advaita Siddhi, the establishment of Advaita, you say Yuktya Eva, it's only by the logical. If I say there were before, what was their creation, says before creation, before, there has to be Advaita. It's not an experiential Advaita. Logically we say that there has to be an Advaita because one has become into creation. So I can deduce that by logically. If that is what you say, so Advaita Siddhi, establishment of Advaita, Yuktya Eva, only by logically, so you cannot say I am experiencing the Brahma Advaita in the deep sleep state. Because Advaita cannot give any happiness. It's only logically I say, because before duality there was a singularity. There is only Advaita and that's the end of it. It's only logical explanation of the existence of one, because now we have plurality. If there is a creation, there has to be one. So that is a statement of the student. So Advaita Siddhi Yukti Eva na anubhuti iti ched. It's not experiential Advaita, it's only logically deduced that there has to be Advaita. So here the student accepts that there has to be Advaita. But it's not by law, it's only by logic, because logic says the creation. Creation is before creation, there cannot be any other creation. It has to be one without any creation. So that is Advaita. It's only by logical deduction, not by experiential. I am not experiencing that Advaita to say, yes, there was an Advaita. If you say that, Nirdrushtantam Asadrushtantam va kotyantaram atra. No. Now how do you prove your statement? So is there an example? Because this is a logic. So we have to know what logic. According to Indian logic, the logic is established, that is called Vyapti Jnanam. Vyapti means a logical statement that has to be established by what's called Drushtanta, by an example. Otherwise, I can produce any logic independent of any examples. But the Indian logic rests on that. If you are going to say, they're called Anumana Pramana. Anumana Pramana has three major components. That's number one, there is a cause and there is an effect, and there is a Vyapti Jnanam. There is an example, Drishtanta. So, a cause-effect relationship, in order to provide a cause-effect relationship, I should have an example. Even in science also, it says I can provide a theory for cause-effect relationship. If you can have the different theories, you can have any theory you want, but a scientist will ask, what's your proof? Give me a proof for your theory. Without proof, no theory is accepted. What's a proof? Proof is nothing but Drishtanta. Drishtanta means give an example of this is applicable there. Therefore, it is so. So, give an experimental data that validates your theory. That's exactly what a scientist believes on that. That's a logic also. That's called Anumana Pramana, involves a Drishtanta. Drishtanta means example. Now your statement that this, I can say logically that there has to be the non-duality before duality came into picture. Let's say logical, because duality is originated, therefore non-duality should be there before. If you say that, is it because of example? Do you have any example, or without example you are making a statement? Nirdrushtanta or sadrushtanta va. So kotyantara matrano. There is no other choice for you. There is no other choice. Either you accept. You told me what is the example to show that there was an Advaita before. Because you don't believe in Advaita. You don't believe as an experiential Advaita, you are only believing in logical Advaita. So if you say logical Advaita, then there has to be an example. In the case of all other examples that Anumana Pramana, the classical one is that wherever there is a fire, there has to be smoke. So, see yatra dhumaha, atra tatra agni, other way around. Wherever there is a smoke, there has to be fire. So if this is there is a distant hill, there is a smoke there. So there must be fire there. How do you know? I don't see fire. It's not by Pratyaksha Pramana. It is by Anumana Pramana. Logically I am deducing there must be a fire there. Why? Because I am seeing smoke. If you are seeing smoke, why are you saying that there is a fire? Because wherever there is a smoke, there has to be fire. That's called cause-effect relationship. Effect is, that is called the hetu, cause, and the sadhya. And there has to be a conclusion that you are making, that there is a smoke there. I see a smoke there in the distant hill. I see a distant hill and I see a smoke. And this is a pratyaksha pramana, direct perceptual knowledge. What I am inferring from what I see is that there is a smoke there, there is a fire there. So how do you know that there is a fire? Because in the past, wherever there is a smoke, I saw there is a fire. So yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra agnihi. This just as in the kitchen. So they give an example in the kitchen. In olden days, they used to use a firewood. May not have now fire, but there is an example. They used to give a firewood. If it is not completely dry, then you get a lot of smoke. So the example is familiar. So example justifies the conclusion called vyapti jnanam. Vyapti jnanam means concomitant relation between the cause, the hetu, and sadhya, the conclusion they are making. There is a relationship has been established in the past through an example. And is there an example for you to say that logically there has to be an Advaita? That's a statement. So is it your conclusion is based on nirudrishtanta or sadrishtanta? Do you have an example or you don't have an example? Because there are only two choices here. So kotyantara matranaha. There is no other choice to say whether I have an example or I don't have an example. That's what the teacher trying to corner him, and he mocks at the student or objector in the next sloka, because if I say I am making without any example, he says great, you are a great guy. So 28 sloka. Nanubhutirna drishtanta nanubhutirna drishtanta iti yuktistu sobhate iti yuktistu sobhate sadrushtantatva pakshetu sadrushtantatva pakshetu drishtantam vada me matam drishtantam vada me matam. Together, na anubhutirna drishtanta iti yuktistu sobhate sadrushtantatva pakshetu drishtantam vada me matam. So na anubhutihi na drishtanta iti yuktistu sobhate. Neither it is not an experience type of information, na drishtaha, not based on any examples. And if you say iti yukti, it is a logic. If you say what a great guy you are, so he is essentially mocking at him. So you cannot have a logic. Either it's experientially based or it is based on the example that everyone is familiar with, and that should be the logic. Without that you cannot make a logical statement. So one can make any logical statement, otherwise it's a meaningless statement. So it's other. What's the logic? I see smoke there, there must be an elephant there. So what is the logic there? I don't have any logic, but I am concluding something. So that is meaningless, because there is no, unless you prove that whenever there is a smoke there is an elephant there. But I can prove that whenever there is a smoke there is a fire there. So cause-effect relationship has to be established clearly, otherwise the logic has no meaning. So that's why we are a great guy, because without either experience or by example you cannot prove anything. So I am experiencing the bliss infinite, so good for you. If you say that it is an experience-based knowledge only, or if you say example, then example should be applicable for objective analysis also. So if you don't have it, then you have a problem. So therefore assume that you have some example to quote that this is logical deduction. Sadrushtantatvapakshetu. In case you claim that you have an example to prove that there has to be an Advaita for the creation Dvaita, then Drishtantam vada me matam. Please tell me what is that Drishtanta, what is the example that you have on the basis of which you made a logical deduction that there has to be an Advaita, and it's not an experiential Advaita, it's only logical Advaita, and that's what it is. So I give a logic versus experience. A simple example I give is, so I was sitting in my room and I'm meditating, of course, as usual, people say. And my wife brought a plate of laddus, sweets, and she thinking that it will be safe here since I am there, and since I am doing meditation, she didn't want to disturb me. She left the plate of laddu there, thinking that she will pick it up later. So after half an hour when she came, there was no more laddu, only empty plate there. And I'm still sitting in a meditation as though, and I'm meditating. She woke me up and says, "You ate all the laddus." Says, "How do you prove that?" Because there is no laddu there. So is that a proof that I ate laddu? This is called the logical eating laddu. So if they say that, how do you prove this is only a circumstantial evidence? You have no proof that I ate laddu. So if that is a circumstantial evidence, then it has no basis. But if the laddu that disappeared is in my stomach and I am full with it, and she says, "Now come and eat lunch," she says, "No, I'm already full." Why? Because I ate a lot of laddu already. So then it is experiential eating laddu. Before that she may accuse me that I ate laddu. It might be some mouse came and ate all the laddu and gone, and you don't see laddu. So experiential laddu is different from logical laddu. Logic and this one can be true only if experience is manifested or supporting that logic only. So one has to be careful here. So sadrushtantatva pakshe, please tell me what is the example that you have to justify your logic, because no logic can stand by itself without a justification. That is the statement here. So we go to next sloka 29. Advaita pralayodvaita anupalambena suptivatu advaita pralayodvaita anupalambena suptivatu iti che suptiradvaiteti atra dushtanta together. Advaita pralayodvaita anupalambena suptivatu iti che suptiradvaiteti atra dushtanta. So pralayaha advaitaha. So yes, there was an advaita due to pralayam, due to when before creation, according to scriptures, the Brahmaji goes to sleep as though the whole universe goes to sleep. When Brahmaji goes to sleep, whole universe goes to sleep. It enters as though into a unmanifested state. So that's called pralayam. When Brahmaji goes, when many yugas and yugas, after the many yugas, and he gets tired and he goes to sleep, and again when he gets up, he starts creation all over again. And that's how every day he does that until he becomes 100 years old. Then he goes away, another Brahmaji comes and does the whole thing. So it is a endless process. This is how the Hindu scriptures talk about pralayam. Pralayam is the sleep of the Ishvara. Ishvara's or Brahmaji's sleep is called Advaita. This is called in the 8th chapter of Gita. It is discussed there. So Advaita pralayodvaita. So pralayaha advaitaha. So Dvaita anupalambena. So due to lack of duality, there is a Advaita. So due to lack of duality, it's a logic here. He says, due to lack of duality in the pralayam, therefore there is an Advaita. So he is deducing on that basis of pralaya, because Brahmaji is going to sleep. So anupalambena suptivatu. It's just like the dream state, deep sleep state. So Dvaita anupalambena suptivatu. It is like a deep sleep state. Advaita iti ched. If you say that it is logically that there is no duality in the pralayam. So if iti ched suptiradvaiteti atra dushtantamiraya. So that Advaita iti atra drishtantamivate. So that itself becomes a drishtantam. That gives an example for my statement that there has to be Advaita before Dvaita. It's not an experiential because I don't experience Pralayam. It's not an experiential because Brahmaji go to sleep, everybody goes to sleep, Brahmaji goes to sleep, and therefore there has to be Advaita. This is what the student and the teacher teases the objector now in the next sloka 30 we will take up later. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.